We do have some awesome guest speakers who are here with us today from Chubb. We have Lindsay Christopher, who is also a Spencer board member. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We have Mike Borelli, we have Jillian Burke, and Sydney Dupree. So, with that, Mike, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome. We appreciate it. And hi, everyone. Thanks for taking a little bit of time out of your summer afternoon to meet with us and hear a little bit more about a day in the life of underwriters. We've come up with what we think is a pretty catchy title for today's presentation. So, crafting solutions from day one to deal done. My name is Mike Borelli. I lead Chubb's early career recruiting team for North America. I'm joined by Lindsay Christopher, Jillian Burke, and Sydney Dupree, as Tendeka had mentioned. Lindsay's going to walk us through a quick overview of Chubb. Jillian and Sydney will really walk us through what a day in their life looks like and some of the key skills needed for a role as an underwriter. And then I'm going to bring us home and talk a little bit more about opportunities to join our team, both as interns and as full-time Chubb Associate Program participants. So with that, I'm going to pass the floor over to Lindsay to first introduce herself.
Thanks, Mike. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name's Lindsay Christopher. I am the head of North American Casualty at Chubb for major accounts, which I'll talk through in a little bit, is our large customer segment. I've been in the industry 20 years now. I've been at Chubb coming up on 13 years here, and have held a number of different positions, always on the casualty side of the business, but certainly many different areas within casualty. So thanks for joining.
Thanks, Lindsay. We'll pass it over to Jillian.
Hi, my name is Jillian Burke. I'm a senior underwriter in the real estate and hospitality group, primary casualty, and we sit in New York City. I've been with Chubb since I graduated college in 2021 when I joined the CAP program. So that training program goes on for about your first 2 years, and yeah, have been loving it ever since.
Thanks, Jillian. We'll go to Sydney last but not least.
As Jillian mentioned, I'm also a senior underwriter on the real estate and hospitality team sitting in Manhattan. We actually cover the entire United States, which is super cool, but we are all here in the city working together. And I've been with Chubb for about 3 years now, straight out of college.
Thank you, Sydney. Last thing I'll add, I realized I completely skimmed over my introduction. I sit in our Philadelphia office, so if anyone's a Temple student, a St. Joe's student, a Drexel student, I'm here in Philadelphia as well, and I've been with Chubb for just over 2 years. So we're, again, excited to be here with you today. I'm going to pass it back over to Lindsay for an overview of our different business lines.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Let me talk a little bit about Chubb North America. It is a very large and diverse organization now, I will say, and many of these groups that you see on here are actually larger in and of itself than many of our competitors in the marketplace. So that's kind of an interesting fact. But we really offer at Chubb such a large, broad range of different insurance products, which we'll show on the next slide, servicing all types of organizations. So our major accounts business, very large organizations, typically over $1 billion in revenue, really complex insurance programs. Oftentimes they're using multiple brokers on different lines of coverage. They have a full-time dedicated risk manager. Many times they have, teams and large staff within the risk management department. But really, really complex insurance needs and complex insurance buyers. So we, often again, many times they have global insurance programs as well. So that's really our largest customer segment. And within there, we do offer, we have what we call global client executives. So because these programs can be so large and complex, and my team may be working on the casualty, well, we have another team working on the property, and then we have surety. We have all these different lines of coverage that one insured might buy from, as we kind of say, the different storefronts at Chubb. We have one global client executive. It's kind of like the relationship manager for all things for that one insured, and that really helps us keep a view of the holistic relationship while these products might be placed by different brokerages, right? So a lot of times the brokers don't even have that view, but instead, we as the insurance carrier can look across all of their products that we insure for them. And then we have our middle market group, which we call commercial insurance. And that is very similar commercial, commercial operations, but to a smaller extent. So your middle market, mid-sized companies, generally anywhere between $30 million and $1 billion in revenue, but those are definitely loose guidelines. And what we provide there is a little bit different. Instead of, each individual line of business being underwritten by a separate division, a separate underwriter, what we provide is called a package product. So it includes your potentially workers' compensation, general liability, as well as your property and potentially excess liability insurance as well, all in kind of one nice policy underwritten by one of our underwriters. They have, within middle market, we have a very, very broad appetite. We have a very high focus on industry practices and some really specialized products and endorsements for, many of the different industry practices, be it construction or life sciences or healthcare or energy or climate plus. There's a lot of unique products and policy enhancements that we offer within that space for those middle market customers. Um, Let's see. Then we have our small business, which is relatively new for Chubb. It's really the area that we're focused on growing right now and building and developing this. So it's insureds with revenue under 30 million. We've just developed a new online platform, which we call Marketplace. And that business, again, is underwritten generally by, it within one product, not always by an underwriter, but a lot of that business is being done, as we say, on the glass, right? So where agents can actually go in and enter exposure and loss information right on their computer screen, and then develop a quote sort of all on their own. So that's really, I would say, an evolving area within the company. We're constantly learning and using new technology, new artificial intelligence, to really develop that space and see what more we can provide and enhancements to our clients and agents. Um, I'll skip over to Westchester quickly. Westchester is what we call, this is also commercial insurance, but what we call excess and surplus line. So it's not sold through a retail broker, but instead through a wholesale broker. So sort of another layer of a middleman, I would say, right? So typically within the wholesale space, or the excess and surplus line space, they were historically harder to place risks that went through surplus lines or wholesale brokers. That was more difficult, required more unique structures, or just harder to place risks. Generally, in surplus lines, the insurance policies are not admitted and filed with the states, so there can be more freedom of form endorsements as well as pricing in surplus lines. So that generally, again, is why the harder to place risks were going there. So at Chubb, Westchester is our organization that does that. And again, they write all lines of coverage, property and casualty, by an individual underwriter, not any sort of package policy. And then Chubb Bermuda is sort of our last true, I would say, commercial policy but what they provide is a bit different because it's high layers of liability, or high layers of limit, blocks of capacity, all lines of coverage, potentially liability, property, political risk. But they sit generally excess of $100 million in their insurance towers. So they provide large blocks very high in the tower. So think low frequency of claims, but very high severity business. And when they have a claim, when something goes wrong, it is a very large one, and it's certainly has a lot of attention and a lot to work through, a lot of cat exposure there. But again, very low frequency of claims. And what's a little bit different about Bermuda, kind of similar to Westchester, who's access through wholesale brokers. Bermuda has to be accessed through a non-US based broker. So either a Bermudian broker or potentially a broker overseas as well. So those are really our commercial segments within North America. Jumping down to the bottom there is personal risk services. So this is really our high net worth personal lines division so switching from commercial now going to personal for successful individuals, families, and then a potentially large um, family offices. So we typically are providing coverage for homes over $1 million in value. That's generally the lead-in line for PRS. But then we also offer auto insurance, valuables or collectible insurance. So think art, wine, watches. We certainly insure jewelry collections as well. Cars, collectible cars, you name it. It's a really interesting line of business to get to see and get your arms around just to see the different collections that people own and then and what they're looking to insure. So that's a great area of business for us that we've been expanding quite a lot in the last few years. And then finally, the two agriculture and combined insurance, smaller groups. Agriculture is really interesting. It's focused on um, providing property and casualty for large commercial agriculture, farm and ranch, which is really interesting. And we actually um, provide a lot of cover for, the farms and the ranches in, the Midwest or the middle part of the country. And then combined is kind of similar. It's personal accident and supplemental health insurance. So a little bit different. We sell that through what's called our Chubb workplace benefits. They do things like critical illness, accident and disability, permanent life insurance. So almost like a supplementary to some of the health benefits, right? So we don't actually do health benefits or health insurance, but this is can be thought of in that sort of similar type vein. The other thing that's not on here that's brand new to Chubb is Healthy Paws. So we recently made that acquisition. It's a new division within the organization, and we provide pet insurance through Healthy Paws.
That's probably the most fun one.
It is. It is the most fun. Thanks, Mike. And so then going through the products that we offer, I mean, as you can see here from the listing, it is quite extensive, and I would say they're probably not even all on here, right? I mean, we just what makes Chubb really stand out is just the diversification of the products that we can offer and frankly the our geographical diversification as an organization as well. So as you see here, talking about the auto, both for personal, for individuals, but then we insure auto fleets for large companies as well. We write a lot of construction projects. We wrote for those New Yorkers, we wrote the Tappan Zee Bridge, or we wrote the development in Hudson Yards. We are insuring our new office building being built in Philadelphia right now. So all sorts of new construction projects. We insure both the casualty, the workers actually building it, and then the property, the actual property insurance while the building is being built. Crime and fidelity, kidnap and ransom is on there. We are a big writer of excess casualty, so not the first layer of insurance, but the layer all the way up the tower. Environmental, so when there might be environmental spill or cleanup required, we provide a lot of that coverage. We're growing in our property coverage deployed within North America. So as you can see, I could go through them all, but all sorts of different products that we offer. As we say, we like to say it's through our storefronts. There's a lot of different ways that you can access Chubb for a lot of different products. And then this is sort of how we do it, right? It's through our distribution. So as I said before, our diversification of product, but then also geography, excuse me. So within North America, this is sort of how we break down our distribution across our field ops team. So we have experienced leaders that run each of these regions. We call them regional executive officers. They have oversight for the entire territory. And then we have multiple sort of marketing agents, be it in the large account, major account side, in personal lines or commercial insurance. We have many marketing individuals that really are tasked with going out there and building and establishing long-term relationships with our brokers, our agents, and our clients in the regions. And some of these regions are very large, probably the Midwest being the largest with the most branch offices and number of states to cover. As you can see, we sort of have 9 regional geographies and then 40 additional branch offices. So in total, we have 49 branch offices between the United States and Canada. We have a really vast footprint. And again, it is definitely a differentiator for Chubb because we have such a strong and local reach within each of these branches. And then quickly, we'll just touch on what we call our business roundtables. So at Chubb, we're really focused on inclusivity and making sure everyone brings their whole self and their authentic self to work every day and feels comfortable to do that. So we've created what we call business roundtables or BRTs. And it's really focused on that and creating a little bit more of an allegiance or a network for individuals to network, right, and to meet more colleagues within the organization that might be outside of their direct, business unit or direct responsibility, and to just create more of an inclusive nature within the organization. So we have Impact, which is focused on gender equality. I've been a board member of Impact for a number of years, so we've done a lot of really great events there. I would say probably my favorite thing that we do there is called a program called Coaching Circles. So a more senior woman, probably mid-level, I would say, management, pairs with a group of 5 to 10 younger females within the organization, and they go through monthly touch points. And it's really a great way to bring employees from many different business units together, right? Folks that you would otherwise not be able to meet or have the opportunity to network and to learn and get to know throughout the organization. It really brings them together and allows them to talk through, different issues that they're having, different ways to handle, situations at work, how to continue to develop their career, all things like that. So, really impactful. Then we have Mosaic that focuses on multicultural talent. And within sort of the Mosaic BRT, we have an Asian, Black, and Latin American Alliance. Pride is focused on LGBTQ plus employees. And so we have a lot of visibility within Pride in the organization. Salute brings together military veterans or active service members, as well as family members, spouses, right? Anybody that might have that in common, right? And have looking to support their family members that might be either veteran or active service. And then Thrive is our newest BRT, and it focuses on disability inclusion. And again, that one's not just employees with disabilities, but again, bringing together families and individuals, caretakers of individuals with disabilities, really giving them a network to talk about the challenges and how they navigate different scenarios. And again, what benefits Chubb has to offer those employees and how we bring them all together. So a lot of great, I would say, networks that we have within Chubb that really aim to bring all of our employees together, make sure they feel that they have a place here and that they have more individuals that are similar to them or maybe going through similar situations that they can connect with.
Thanks, Lindsay.
My pleasure.
And here we're going to move over to Sydney and Jillian to tell us a little bit more about a day in the life of an underwriter.
Yeah, so thank you all again for taking the time out of your summer day. I'm thrilled to be here to share with you sort of a high level of what insurance underwriting looks like here at Chubb, along with a bit about my personal journey getting into the insurance industry, along with my colleague Jillian's. And then we're going to walk you through the steps of an underwriter, very high level from the initial submission all the way to quoting. So I hope it gives you a good taste of what we do on a daily basis here at Chubb. So I'll go ahead and kick it off. As I mentioned earlier, I'm Sydney Dupriest, senior underwriter in the real estate and hospitality team here in New York. I actually grew up in Richmond, Virginia. I saw someone in the chat also is from Richmond, Virginia. And then I attended the University of Alabama, Roll Tide. Saw another person at Alabama in the chat. And then I was part of Kappa Delta there. That was great socializing. And then I really sat down and I said, okay, I need to find an internship. All of my peers are getting an internship. And it's actually funny, getting into the insurance industry was through family. So my grandmother worked for Swiss Re, and then my mother still is in the industry, continues to impress me. And she pulled me aside and said, why don't you try insurance? I was a little hesitant at first. I was like, I don't know if that's my cup of tea. I went ahead and shadowed her and her team one summer, and it actually piqued my interest. So from there, I went on searching for another internship for my next year, my junior year. And I'm so grateful I got to work with RT Specialty that year for an internship, have one-on-one chats with executives there, kind of digging deeper into insurance, which you guys are so lucky. You have Spencer University. This is awesome. You have such a great platform right now. And then I was part of the Chubb Associate Program 2022 when I graduated college, and I've been here at Chubb ever since.
As I mentioned, my name is Jillian Burke. I'm also a senior underwriter in the real estate and hospitality team in New York City. So me and Sydney sit next to each other every day. We're yapping all day, but we have a good time. And I think Sydney mentioned it, but a cool thing about the real estate group is we sit in New York City, but we cover the whole country. So we work with brokers and clients from all over the United States. So I'm actually in Houston right now to do some networking with some brokers, and we have a Astros game that we're going tonight to meet with some brokers. So that'll be fun. But yeah, a little bit about my journey of getting to Chubb. I went to Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut. I played softball there, absolutely loved it. I honestly had no idea what I wanted to do after college. I interned at a financial consulting firm, which was a great experience. It was kind of just something my career development center helped me set up. But I wasn't like super passionate about it. And similar to Sydney, had a family friend suggest looking at Chubb. And I really knew nothing about insurance at that time. So I was kind of just going in blind and had no idea how much fun it was going to be, how interesting of an industry it is, and how much room and opportunity for growth there is. So those are definitely some of my favorite things about it. And yeah, I did the Chubb Associate Program from 2021 to 2022 and have been in the same group ever since. So obviously, Lindsay went super in depth with all of this, so we can keep it kind of high level. I think we just wanted to highlight here that Chubb as a whole, we just want to highlight the size and the scope and how many different product offerings that we have and the areas of expertise we have. And from a career development perspective, this really makes it a great place to start your career and a great place to grow because it allows you to find an area and a role that really interests you and fits your skill sets. So as we mentioned, we wanted to give you like a little day in the life of what it looks like to be an underwriter. This was something like I would have really loved to have when I first started, because just really kind of hopped into it blind. But that's the great thing about the Chubb Associate Program is they really take it slow and understand that everyone comes from different backgrounds. So I would say we start with the submission, which comes in from a broker who gets a request from a client. So clients go to brokers and say, I need an insurance program. And those brokers, depending on who they have good relationships with, what they think of certain carriers, will then send those submissions to carriers. And we're on the carrier side. So the next part of the process is kind of getting our underwriting questions together, going through the deal, looking at both quantitative and qualitative data. And our actuaries come in and play a big part in this. They do a lot of the heavy lifting with the data analysis and looking at trends and loss projections, things like that. And then once we kind of have all of our numbers together, we build the deal. We put everything together in a really cool system that Chubb has that allows you to add every aspect, every premium bearing aspect into one place, which gives you the total cost to the insured and all of the terms and conditions that are going to go along with it. So endorsements, coverages, limits, things like that. And then once we have a good idea of what that looks like, we go to our management team and kind of propose the deal to them. We go and we say, we have underwritten this file. We are going to put these endorsements on there in order to protect Chubb and its assets. But we feel like this is a risk we're comfortable taking on. And once we're on the same page with management and have their approval, then we can pull the formal quote, which is a formal document that we then send to the broker and they then send to the client. And some negotiation will go on there between pricing and coverages, things like that. And then I can pass it off to Sydney to go a little deeper into each step.
Yes, thank you, Jillian. So as Jillian mentioned, we start with receiving the submission. Here, it can range from a bunch of different documents within that submission, but typically you're going to have an SOV, which is your statement of values. This is going to be an Excel document that outlines what we're being exactly asked to insure with property addresses, square footage, all of the information you need, yet sometimes you are missing it and you will have to go back to request this information. Secondly, loss runs. These documents give you insight into how the risk has been performing over time. So you can see if they've had frequency claims, severity claims, kind of analyze that data over time. And going hand in hand with that is the historical data. We can review it year over year to see how the account's portfolio is changing. Are they divesting a certain type of occupancy? And what are their plans for growth going forward? And then contracts. We carefully review relevant contracts to ensure they include clear indemnification clauses, hold harmless language, terms essentially to protect parties involved. Yeah, so that's kind of a high level of the submission. Next, we have unraveling the actual account. So once we have all the necessary documents, we start digging in. So this is where attention to detail is really critical. We need to identify any missing information that we may need for our underwriting, such as whether the loss runs are currently valued or say they were valued 2024. We're going to miss a whole year of claims that have come in. Also, a claim last year in 2024 that was, say, $5,000 could now be $500,000. We wouldn't know that looking back a year. So it's very crucial to make sure we have the currently valued losses. And then you want to see if there are any exposures on the SOVs that may raise some red flags. At this stage, you also begin communication with the broker. This is vital. While emails are very great for record keeping, I will say, calls and going to lunches, just face-to-face interaction with these brokers really will put you forward because you foster this trust and enhance communication. It's easier to get the deals done when you have those relationships. Next, digging through the data. So this requires attention to making sure everything is organized correctly, kind of digging in, identifying trends that might signal potential risks. Are we seeing a lot of claims from oh, this one location, there's a bunch of slip trips falls. We might want to have some risk consulting go out, take some measures. And then we also work very closely with our actuarial team at this step. So personally, from our team, we work with actuarial all the time, working on the pricing of the deals because they analyze the historical and loss data more in depth and play a really critical role in pricing by forecasting future claims and kind of looking at the historical claims as well. So I do encourage everyone, if underwriting, broker side, that's not for you, there's always the actuarial part. So I encourage you to explore those opportunities as well. Next, building the deal. Finally, after we have all the data sorted and it's interpreted, we utilize our underwriting system that Jillian mentioned. This is a tool, I like to emphasize tool because the heavy lifting of the underwriting really is on the underwriter itself, and the tool is there for support. But it helps analyze the data more efficiently. And it is important to remember that this is going to go to management as well. So you have another step of kind of verifying all of the work you've done. And I will say it is fun when you get to the management point because you kind of get to build a case for yourself. This is why I priced it this way. And I think it's super fun putting together that game plan of how are we going to attack this certain deal and what are my points in selling the pricing that I've made. Now I'll pass it off to Jillian for the quoting.
Yeah, so this is kind of our final step just to get our first version of the proposal out, but many times there's different asks from the broker and the client and changes that happen. So there end up being different iterations and negotiations. But once we have worked with management to find pricing and terms and conditions that we're comfortable with, we put together a formal proposal document outlining everything, and we send that to the broker. And the broker then sends that to the client. And our system is really cool because we do all of our pricing in this one system. And then when it's ready to quote, you just say like, pull a quote for me. And it pretty much creates like a Word document with all of the standard wording and stuff that we need. And really just the fill-ins are like the endorsements that we added or the pricing. So kind of cool on the technology side for Chubb. It's definitely a learning curve. I think that was like one of the hardest things for me at first was figuring out all of our Chubb specific technology, but it's really impressive and when you start to work with it. So we just wanted to highlight some skills that we feel like are important for underwriting. As we mentioned, neither Sydney or I majored in risk management or really knew a lot about insurance prior to working here, which is what it's so great about the CAP program. You learn the basics about insurance during that first year and into the second year. While working alongside your team to learn like deal specific things and get a little bit more into the weeds of the deals. So I would say when Chubb is looking for underwriters, and I'm sure Mike and Lindsay can speak more to this, but there's not as much of a focus as on your knowledge of the insurance industry, but rather what skills you've learned through coursework and extracurriculars in college that would make you a great underwriter. So for example, I talked about when I was interviewing, I played softball in college. So I talked about like my time management skills and strong communication skills that I'd learned through playing a team sport, which were really helpful for the writing, communication, and organization aspect of it. But like we said, interpersonal skills are huge. Building those relationships with clients and brokers goes such a long way. And it's the fun part of the job. So it's nice that we get to do a little bit of everything. And then, yeah, this last slide kind of connects to that last point. We just wanted to show some of the fun things that we get to do as a group with brokers. We really do have a great team in the real estate department, but everyone gets really close with their team. All the teams are pretty close-knit, and it really is a very collaborative industry. So you're always making connections with people, always networking. So and in doing that, you go to broker events. We do sporting games, lunch, dinner, happy hours, golf events. I think they just set up a pickleball event in New York in a few weeks, which I'm extremely excited about. But yeah, me and Sydney say all the time how much we love our team. Great culture, great atmosphere. Everyone is like, my first few weeks, I was like astonished, just like how supportive and like willing to help everyone is. And going through the CAP program is really great too, because you're in a class of associates who are kind of in the same shoes as you, like might know a little bit about insurance, might know nothing about insurance. So you're all kind of learning together, and it kind of creates a like, there's no dumb questions atmosphere, which was really comforting. So yeah.
Thank you so much. It's great to hear from the three of you, and you've done such a nice job selling the organization and teeing up these different roles. So my job is easy here now to talk about ways in which you can join our team. So I know I'm standing between you all and your questions, so I'm going to move through this as efficiently while hopefully as thoroughly as possible. But just to reiterate, so every organization that Lindsay touched on in the beginning within North America, all the different, roles that Sydney and Jillian touched on in their slides too. They hire what are called Chubb associates or like early career folks, as well as interns every year. We didn't touch much on it. Actually, Jillian and Sydney did talk a little bit about our tech systems, but we also have a technology arm within Chubb, right? So if anyone on the line is a computer science or data analytics major and you're looking for something a little bit more technical, we have a full tech associate program and a tech internship as well. For the sake of today, we're going to talk more on the business side, but if you have any of those tech specific questions, I'm happy to answer them when we open up the floor to you all in just a second. But yeah, as this slide shows, you can have a lot of different career paths and different opportunities to enter the organization, and you don't have to have studied or have experience within insurance or risk management. So I really love the slide that Sydney and Jillian have where they talk about skills of an underwriter. None of those skills say previous experience in insurance. So if you think about, Jillian's example of like the transferable skills and what she pulled from her college experience into her interview, that's what I hope to encourage you all to do if you are coming into these conversations with Chubb to discuss our full-time or internship roles. You've got a lot of really relevant experience, and those experiences can make you a really strong candidate for our opportunities here. So this first slide has a lot going on, but the biggest thing I'll call out is this QR code. I don't know if you can see my mouse, probably not, but there's a QR code on the bottom right-hand corner here. So if you are a graduating senior, so if you are graduating December of 2025, May of 2026, or if you're a recent grad and have already graduated, this is going to be the program for you. This is our full-time Chubb Associate program. So this is the program that both Sydney and Jillian took part in when they joined the organization. So think about our Chubb Associate program as this umbrella program where you can have all of those different types of roles within the different business lines that Lindsay talked through. We also have more of the corporate functions that participate in the Chubb Associate program as well. So again, the marketing team, the actuarial team. We've had an HR or human resources Chubb Associate before. So you can really do any of the roles that we talked about on the prior slide in the Chubb Associate program. This is a 24-month or a 2-year full-time program. So through the Chubb Associate program, you're hired specifically onto a team. So with Sydney and Jillian, as an example, they were hired onto the real estate and hospitality underwriting team. And then while they're doing that role, they're going through a learning journey or a curriculum for the Chubb Associate program. So the Chubb Associate program is not only thinking about your technical training and on-the-job training, but also then your soft skill training and your personal development. So Jillian and Sydney talked about the importance of, relationships and interpersonal skills. There are courses that the Chubb Associate program offers to help you further develop your relationship management skills, if that's an area of opportunity for you. So what I'll say before I move on to the next few slides here to talk a little bit more about the actual timeline of the program. This QR code is going to link you right out to where our jobs will be posted for the Chubb Associate program. We're currently working through our intern conversions for the summer of 2025. I anticipate that my team will start to post new jobs for the 2026 cohort at the end of August, beginning of September. And we're also going to get a list of attendees from Tandeka so that my team can reach out to you all and invite you to apply to these when we start to post them on the career site. So if you're interested in that, scan that QR code. And just quickly here, so when you think about how those 2 years are spent, the first 4 months are really spent just launching the program, getting you some of those foundational skills so that you can, be operational in your role. The next kind of like the bulk of the program is really spent through that professional development. That could be technical skill development. Again, that could be interpersonal skill development. And then the last two kind of phases of the Chubb Associate Program, there's a group project where you get the chance to work on a real life project that Chubb is experiencing and make a recommendation back to our senior leadership team. So Lindsay had talked a little bit about marketplace in the beginning with our small business. One of the projects that I had the chance to sit on was a group making recommendations for how they could improve the marketplace application for our brokers. So, these are really things that our leadership team is looking for Chubb associates to kind of weigh in on. If the recommendations are, sound and, financially affordable, that leadership team will take these recommendations right from the Chubb associates and implement them pretty quickly after hearing some of their strategies. So really, really valuable and good face time with the leadership team through this project. And then last but not least is really thinking about the conclusion of the program. So how do you continue your career development and journey kind of post Chubb associate program? Similar looking slide, but I promise that the QR code is different and some of the content is different. This is for our internship program. So if anyone is not graduating within the next year and is looking for summer internships in 2026 or 2027 and beyond, this is going to be the QR code for you to scan. So just like the Chubb Associate Program, there are a bunch of different teams that hire interns every year. So you could work on the real estate and hospitality underwriting team. You can be part of our claims team, risk consulting, you name it, actuarial. We hire for all of these different groups every summer. So our internship is a paid 8-week experience. Similar to the Chubb Associate Program, there will be learning opportunities throughout those 8 weeks. The program team does a really nice job of getting our interns in front of some senior leaders within the organization while you're here for the 8 weeks too. So you're not only getting the chance to get a sense of what a day in the role actually looks like, but you're meeting other interns, you're meeting senior leaders. And then ideally, what we're working through right now, right, is at the end of the internship, you could be presented with an opportunity to come back to Chubb, either for another internship or for a full-time opportunity through our Chubb Associate Program. So again, for these, the plan is to start posting vacant internships later this fall. So in the meantime, if you are interested in internship opportunities with us, scan this QR code and that will drop you out to our career site for a little bit more information. And that is all that we had from a shared content perspective. I am going to stop sharing this screen just so we can hopefully see a few of your faces and maybe field some of your questions. We've got a little over 10 or so minutes at this point, so just thank you. We'll open up the floor to you all for any questions you might have.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And in the meantime, as you guys are thinking of your questions, I'd love it if you could all join me in a virtual round of applause for our amazing guest speakers who are here today. So I mentioned in the chat box that we do have the raise hand button here at Zoom. So just click on that button and your screen will pop up right to the top so that we can address your questions as they come in. So Easel, go for it. I see your hand is up. Go for it.
Perfect. So can you hear me, by the way? Is this okay?
Yeah.
Wonderful. First of all, thank you guys so much for your time and your energy. Fantastic presentation. I really enjoyed it. I think I so this is like two-part question.
Sure.
Just kind of like with the growing influence of like third-party litigation funding and the rise of nuclear verdicts, are you seeing any shifts in Chubb's pricing models or attachment strategies for excess casualty layers?
Wow, great question.
Wow.
Live in my
All you,
world.
Lindsay.
Yeah, that's me. So yeah, so asking about the increase in third-party litigation funding and nuclear verdicts. And when we say nuclear verdicts, we just mean the large increasing settlements and verdicts, right, for that these claims are going for. And I will say, yes, we are definitely, we've been tackling this for quite a few years, really. I would say really starting back to 2017, 2018 is really when we start to see this trend, and it's just continued and I would say continued to get worse, um, and has had quite an impact on our book of business. And so really since, 2017, more formally in 2019, we've been changing attachment points, raising attachment points of our excess liability policies, reducing the limits that we deploy, certainly increasing our pricing, as well as doing, sort of unique program structures with each either loss corridors or, some reinsurance agreements with insureds captives. So really getting a bit more creative of how do we structure these programs to be profitable and sustainable long into the future as we continue to see, claim values continue to rise. So yes, is the short answer. We've been doing a lot. It's a difficult environment to operate in, and we don't know. Unfortunately, I don't foresee it improving in a material way in the short term.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Great question. Great answer. Thank you so much. Hopefully that answers his question. Nia, go for it. We've seen your hands up. Go for it.
Greetings. I am Nia Mason, a third-year actuarial science scholar at Florida A&M. I'm currently an enterprise risk management intern, and my question is, how does collaborations between actuaries and underwriters work at Chubb? And where do your roles overlap?
I'll start with that, and then if you guys want to jump in. I actually started as an actuarial intern and then went back and started my career as an actuary and spent the first number of years in the actuarial department, not at Chubb, but another company. So I think it's great. I think that there's a huge overlap, right? In the day-to-day of an underwriter, there's a big overlap in terms of loss development and pricing of accounts. And we engage with our actuaries all the time, right? From a pure underwriting perspective, talking about rate monitoring and profitability of account and what's the right loss pick selection. And so we go back and forth, what is the trend? What's the frequency doing year over year? So there's a lot of dialogue. I think more so, again, it will depend on what line of business you're operating in or you're working in, but there's a lot of overlap. And then when you get to more of a management level, I mean, we're also then working with actuaries on the flip side, right? In terms of profitability studies, quarterly actual versus expected exhibits, reserve studies, pegging the loss ratio for next year, and really working through all of that. So again, I mean, I speak to an actuary at least once a day, if not more, every day. So there's a lot of engagement, I would say.
Thank you so much.
Good question.
Great question. Yeah. Any other questions? Feel free to go for it. You can also unmute yourself.
Just great presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you. That's sweet of you. I have a question that I know you're headquartered in Philadelphia. So for those who are looking to intern or who are looking to start full time, does that mean they have to move to Philadelphia after graduation, or what does that look like?
Good question. I'm happy to speak to that as our Philadelphia native and recruiting person on the line. But no, we hire across the country, which is really nice. So it's funny, if I ran the numbers right now, I would guess that we probably hired more early career folks in our New York City office than in Philadelphia last year, between our different underwriting roles at the Chubb Associate Program level and then at the internship level. We know that a lot of young professionals want to be in other cities, no offense to Philadelphia, but they want to be in New York. They want to be in San Francisco. They want to be in LA, whatever it might be, Chicago. So yeah, we hire our early career folks across the country.
Any other questions? I can certainly ask more questions, but I want to give you guys an opportunity.
Well, maybe I'll ask one back to the group. I see some folks with their cameras on who look like they're in office settings. Where are you currently?
I'm in the New York office, so I worked as a risk management in LVMH. So
Oh,
I'm
cool.
currently in the Midtown. Yeah.
Thanks, Angela.
hmm
Angela, I think that's so cool. I went to a networking event and met a risk manager for LVMH and was hearing about all the stuff she does and all the brands she works with. It's very cool.
Yeah, we work with a lot of maisons, like more than like 75 brands. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Super cool. And Easel's at Argo Group. I think he's afraid to unmute.
Howdy. Oh, I'm currently at the Match Group Dallas office, risk management intern, all that fun stuff.
Great. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for the presentation.
Mike, I could just add like one last like closing
Please,
comment.
yeah.
Like we said, like Sydney, and I don't want to speak for Sydney, but we both had pretty similar paths to get here. Neither of us really were like dreaming of working in insurance. We didn't major in it. We really didn't know much about the industry, and it really is just such a great place to be. For so many reasons. The stability of the job, that was something I hadn't really considered. I was like, I just want a job, and got lucky, very lucky to end up here. And I think in terms of the application process, my biggest piece of advice would be going through your resume and picking out experiences, achievements, things like that, and seeing how you can apply skills that we talked about today, communication skills, data analytics, to how you've used those skills in experiences you've had. And I think that's the best way to go about interviews. So again, no one expects you to have worked with an insurance company before and know much about it. It's really just, do you have the potential to learn the basics of insurance and have a good foundation? So, and I think the great thing about working for Chubb and joining the Chubb Associate Program, even if you're not 100% set on working in insurance, is that Chubb, like Lindsay was mentioning and like I mentioned, is obviously such a massive company that there's room for you to grow, room for you to learn kind of what areas of interest you think you would be best at.
Yeah, and jumping off of Jillian really quickly, I know our LinkedIn's were shared in the chat. Please feel free to reach out if you want to set up a phone call. If you have questions that way, feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy. I know we'd all be more than happy to speak with you guys.
Yeah, please do.
Amazing. So we are at time. So thank you again so much, Lindsay, Mike, Jillian, Sydney. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for an hour. And thank you so much for this warm welcome, to Chubb and also just to underwriting as a career path and helping the students think about underwriting as a career path. We truly appreciate it. So for all the students that are here with us, as mentioned, we host these sessions weekly over the summer. So our next session is going to be next week, Thursday, July 31st from 1 to 2 Eastern. Our presenting company is going to be FM, and our guest speaker is going to teach us how to unlock career success. So she's going to help us understand performance management. So take a moment to register for all of our upcoming sessions. I did pop the link in the chat box so you can take a look at our 2025 lineup. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you again, Mike, Jillian, Sydney, and Lindsay. We appreciate your time.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Bye.